All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 553 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am Via Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. Still not much on the Georgia Southern front, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Falcons. And man, this is going to be a little, couple of steps ahead of what we normally talk about here. And I think you guys will catch the gist of what I'm talking about, because I don't think a lot of people really think about what the Falcons are really doing here. And I know it may be counterproductive to some of you fans, because some fans like win and don't care about nothing else. But I'm seeing the vision that the Falcons are putting themselves, into, or what they see and where they're trying to put themselves going down this path with this franchise going further. So we're going to talk about Calais Campbell, which recently signed with the Falcons. We're going to talk about Jessie as well, and why these two guys are very important to why the Falcons have made the free agency bigger than football. We're going to get into all that and give you my thoughts and opinions. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Hopefully you guys will check out those other avenues as well, because if the podcast is not up on another site, let's say if it's down on Rumble or not on YouTube, rest assured it's probably on one of the podcast avenues, and vice versa. It gets like that sometimes. I've had a couple of situations where just the fact that the upload speed or whatever the case may be, it just doesn't show up on those avenues, but it'll be somewhere else. It's really weird. It's technology. What can you say? I want to thank everybody who's been watching the show. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I cannot thank you guys enough. All right, let's just go ahead and get into this, because I find this very, very interesting. Very interesting. Calais Campbell signed to a 1-year deal with the Falcons, and one thing that made Calais Campbell sign with the Falcons was the fact that, one thing, Arthur Smith is, a lot of people don't talk about it much, but he likes to do things in the community. How he does charitable efforts and want to have leaders, and not only just in the locker room, but leadership off the field as well. And with Calais Campbell being the former Walter Payton Man of the Year, I mean, you can't get no better than that. And Calais Campbell, at one point, we thought he wasn't going to sign with us. He came to Atlanta. He ended up going to Jacksonville, which was his former team. And you would think that he would go there because, for all intents and purposes, the Jaguars just got off of a playoff run. It wasn't a long run, but you could see the steps that they're making to make that team very formidable. I mean, they got a good running back. They just got, a pretty good offense. The quarterback is there. Calvin Ridley is there. The defense is pretty good. And Calais Campbell would have been excellent for them to, help them push them over the hump. But he saw something in Atlanta. He had a conversation, about 45-minute phone conversation with Arthur Blank. I probably said Smith earlier, sorry. With Arthur Blank, and they discussed these things. According to Ian Rappaport, they discussed leadership, charitable efforts, and how Campbell can thrive in the community. Those things are very important. It just goes to show you that the Falcons are, looking at things on a bigger scale than just what's on the field. Now, like I said earlier, I know a lot of the fans out here don't be like, well, why do they want to do that? Because we haven't won anything. I don't think we had a winning season since 2083, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I get it. But when you're trying to create a culture, you're trying to turn things around from not necessarily a bad boy image, but when you just want to turn things around where leadership, those type of things are to the forefront, it goes a long way to what other players that will come to this organization or the ones that are already here. It feeds off of the other players. You're not going to find too many players that are in trouble that have these type of leadership traits and qualities. So, yes, Calais Campbell is 36. He's a little bit older, but he can show the young guys all of this talent that we brought in on defense. He can show these guys how to make things happen. And if you want to talk about things on the field, there's something about the Atlanta Falcons that people are actually starting to look at as a destination to play football. Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot are doing some things where they're setting a precedent that they want guys with leadership qualities, guys who can help other players on the team to be better, do better, and just take their talents to the next level, not just, on the field, but just be better men. And I'm not saying that the Falcons have a bunch of misfits or whatever, but you want guys who can teach you the game, guys with, who've been to Super Bowls, like Jessie Bates and Calais Campbell. I think Calais Campbell been to the Super Bowl. Can't remember. But, guys with those leadership traits that know how to win football games and how to do it the right way on a professional level. These are the things that you want to have on your team. I said this a long time ago. I think I said this when it comes to Georgia Southern. I said that the Eagles, with what Coach Clay Helton has been doing over there, you want to have a guy that's an extension of the coach or extension of the philosophy that the organization or the program is trying to put together. And that's exactly what Coach Clay Helton has done. I mean, what he done what Kyle Van Treese was an extension of what he wanted. What the other 6th and 7th year seniors, they were an extension what Coach Clay Helton wanted. And now you're starting to see the same thing with what this organization, the Falcons, are trying to do. Now, let's talk about Jessie Bates. Jessie Bates is another player that's basically signed with the Falcons. I can't remember how long his contract is. I think, it was a 4-year deal. And with one thing about Jessie Bates that really, I'm pretty sure this jumped out to the organization as well, because Jessie Bates already talked about, or was it John Smith? I can't remember. But I know he already talked about how much he likes the front office, and the front office is bringing in guys, once again, that has this mentality to giving back to the community. He said he donate $1 million to single moms in organizations around Atlanta. So now you have 2 guys that are going to be giving back to the community, something that is really, a big deal. You haven't really seen it or heard anything like this since Work Done. He did that, and it's one thing that's really important because, I grew up, from a single mother, and I know how it was with my mom, and and I know how others were as well. And sometimes that stuff is really special to have, a situation where you can give back to those type of things. And I know, Calais Campbell, I mean, the list speaks for itself, the things that he's done and what he's going to do when he gets here to Atlanta. So this is the thing that I'm talking about. These 2 guys are making it bigger than football. The Atlanta Falcons make free agency bigger than football. When you're bringing guys in who have talent, who know how to win on a higher level, or been to the point where they've been to the biggest stage in football, and they could teach these other guys who may not have been there, because we still have a fairly young team, and we don't have everything that we want as far as pieces, but the core team is fairly young. And when you bring guys like this in, this is the type of stuff you would want to see for your organization. This is the type of stuff you want to see when it comes to your football program, whether it be college or, you can even go back to Pee Wee football or any sport for that matter. You want some type of leadership that really excels and it goes beyond what it takes to be a football player. With things that are bigger than what is expected of you on the field. And I'm not sitting here, you can go all this other stuff and talk about certain activisms and all this. I'm not talking about that. I don't want to get too far into that, but I feel some of that stuff is forced and or scripted. But what these 2 guys here are doing, you can't put a tag on that. Jessie Bates was raised by a single mom, and he knows what it's like to be there. And I know other guys understand that as well. That's a real sentimental thing to them, Like I said, I was one of those kids that grew up to a single mom, I get it, and never would knock any of that, especially when you're able to succeed and do great things behind that. So you want to give back in those situations. And like I said, Calais Campbell, all the things that he's done to even make, Walter Payton Man of the Year, those type of things that you would want to have, So not only on the field, these 2 guys are going to make an impact. I have no doubt in my mind. Calais Campbell, you bring him in, you have Brady Jarrett, you got Evan Kente, You got what's his name? Caden Ellis, Anamaya. You got some guys in the front seven, that could really do some things. And then you look at the back end, you're looking at what AJ Terrell, Richie Grant, Jessie Bates. I'm still thinking that we may even get Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback, but we got some other guys that we signed as well. And we just got finished signing some other guys throughout the free agencies. That's just really quality players. Just got Scotty Miller. We talked about him on the last episode. We have some really good players. It is I will say this before I close. It will be catastrophic if this team don't get better than what they were last year. I mean, we went 7-10 with a team that really shouldn't have went 7-10, to be honest. We overachieved. We were in the playoff hunt literally until like week 12. We should have been out of the playoff hunt like after week 5. But it's crazy, and with this team that's has gotten better, I just can't see a situation to where we are not, better. I mean, I don't want to put a cap on or put a ceiling on the team just yet because I don't know. But I know one thing, we should win more than 7 games this year. Anything more than 7, would be an improvement. But with this team, you could probably win much more than 7. But we'll see how that goes. We're definitely going to talk about that down the road. It is too early for that. The draft hasn't even started. Boy, I can't wait for the draft. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about this, man. The Falcons make free agency bigger than football. This is a really big deal. There's a lot that we could talk about, and some people could still sit here and be like, I'm not worried about that. I just want to win games, which is fine. I get it, but when you bring guys in like this is the type of stuff that makes that makes the identity of your team. You want to be filthy, you want to be nasty, you want to be pushing people around, knocking heads off on the field, but off the field, you want to give back to the community. And I feel like they're showing how it's going to be. Doing this thing the right way, showing some leadership, showing some, just basically showing some leadership. I could be found on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, also on YouTube and Rumble. I want to get out of here, y'all. It's been a long day for me. It's just been a great time with this move. I've just been very busy. But I'm going to get out of here. I will see y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.